Buongiorno from somewhere in the United States. Alfred is back in Sicily holding down the fort. And I'm here with my dear friend Teresa, who's been to Sicily. And we're going to be joined with Anne-Marie and Mike Watt in just a little bit. They lived in Sicily for 4 years and now moved back to the United States. So stay tuned because that's a great coming up. Now, Teresa, you visited with some good friend of ours, and we toured all over Sicily. What were some of your highlights?
Well, first, climbing Mount Etna was incredible. First of all, it's so amazing that there's a volcano. I mean, we don't have very many volcanoes in the continental U.S. And it was so black, like you're walking on this black gravel everywhere. And then there's the volcano. And it was just, as somebody that loves to hike and has hiked in mountains, climbing a volcano was just incredible. And I also loved, you guys have a special kind of, is it an aspen? The trees that you have, the
Yes,
white
yeah.
aspens? And we have aspens in the United States, which is incredible because they're all connected. The roots are underground. But the aspens that they have on Mount Etna were just, I mean, just totally lodged in my memory. So that was one of the greatest things.
You know, and you're up there on Mount Etna and you see the sea. To me, being on a mountain, on a volcano, and there's the sea right there, I think is
Yes.
really incredible.
But there's more.
There's more.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more.
Yes. Yes. So Taormina, which everyone's heard about because that was in where they filmed The Godfather. But the cool thing about Taormina is you're driving to it and you're driving along the seashore. And then you go up this mountain where they have built this amazing city. And you walk through, it's not gates, but it's like an archway, and you enter this old city that is just like it's been for hundreds of years. And what I loved about it is going to a place where it still has the local flavors, and the shopkeepers are local and they're selling their Sicilian wares. You know, I'm not one that loves when beautiful spots in the world end up being another place for Prada and Louis Vuitton to take over all the storefronts and sell their stuff. And I still love and remember the linen napkins that I bought from that lovely lady in that store in Taormina.
Those are the memories, the
Yes.
people memories, right?
Oh,
The
yes.
people memories.
And
Unfortunately,
she was so grateful for us to buy her stuff,
of
you
course.
know? So anyway, it was
Unfortunately, just to give you an update, since you've been there, there's been a Dolce Gabbana, there's a Louis Vuitton, but still everywhere else there is that local flavor that everyone loves so much. And what about the foods? What are some of the favorite foods that you ate?
everything we ate. So the cool thing about Sicily is that, you know, it's this huge island in the Mediterranean, although it's got those other seas, I can't remember all the names of them, that surround it. So you're having this wonderful Italian type food, but it also has the Mediterranean flavor, a lot more fish. And then, of course, what's the G stuff? The granita?
The granita.
Oh my God. All right. So one of the things that Esther especially prides herself in, literally everywhere you go, whatever town it is, and you're going to eat something, you're going to eat the very best, right? So she has the places where it's the best granita on the island. And I can still remember walking to that little shop. And by the way, we of course passed a church where people were getting married that day.
That's a good luck.
It was so great, right? It's like the middle of the week and there's a wedding going on. And then we go and we sit down and she knows all the shopkeepers and they all love her. And you got to pick your favorite granita, which we of course picked multiple flavors because we would not want to be stuck with just one. So
Show them your
another one.
t-shirt.
Oh yeah, I have
Look,
my
Sicily's
Sicily
t-shirt.
t-shirt.
That's
just
in
for the
our
show.
shop.
Mhm.
That's in our shop. If you click below and hit shop. Okay, we're gonna bring in Anne-Marie and Mike.
Hey.
Ciao.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Sorry.
Buongiorno from.
Say hi too.
That's Micah.
Let me see Micah. Little dog.
I'd have to move it. Come here, Mike.
Yeah. Come here. Right
Come
here.
Micah.
Dude.
So Mike and Anne-Marie lived in Sicily times, right? And Mike was you were a contractor with the military, Sigonella, right? Mike, come in the shot a little bit more.
Okay.
And Anne Marie also worked on base. So first of all, how was it living in Sicily for twice, one time, 4 years, and then moving back to the United States? Quite an adjustment.
Huge, huge. I think the first time was a lot of fun because we had the girls with us and they were quite young at the time. And that was when Mike was still active duty, plus being on the base and meeting all the Italians that that work on the base. And Mike being the comptroller, he knew pretty much everybody. We made forever friends, and that's something I think should be said about Sicily too. You make friends there and they're your friends for life. It doesn't matter if you don't see each other all the time, you make friends for life. And the second time we came back, we came as empty nesters. And while it was a different experience, old friends still there. And of course, we got lucky to meet Alfred and Esther. And now we have forever friends again. So Sicily is, I remember one of your friends used to say to us all the time, alla famiglia. It's everyone's family. You go into a restaurant, and if you've been there 3 or 4 times, they know you right away. Anna Maria, see. And it's just, it makes my heart sad that I miss it a lot.
What do you miss the most?
Oh, do we need to say really?
Food.
Food, everything's fresh. Obviously the vino, but just getting together. Nothing is all about work. It's about being together with your friends and your family. And learning. I learned a lot the second time, even more about the cuisine and how you make it, and stop putting all this extra stuff in it. And I don't know. I felt the healthiest when we were over there, don't you think?
Yeah,
We were actually the
it
healthiest.
helps
when we
swigging
were
it down with a glass of vino, yes.
Listen, I want to ask all three of you guys something. Was there something that happened in Sicily that you learned in Sicily that you brought back and incorporated it in your, let's say, cuisine, your life, something like that?
Other than drinking with every meal?
With every meal.
Well, so for me, like what you guys said about, it's really about great ingredients and not a lot of them. I love the lemons on my shirt. I mean, lemons, in America, what are lemons? Oh, they're for lemonade. But no, lemons make almost everything you're cooking, even savory dishes, taste better.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, that was a big thing, is just how valuable the lemons are.
What about for you guys?
Okay.
Well, Anne-Marie does most of the cooking, but the one thing I did bring back, and she looks at me strange, is I actually eat my salad last now. So when we have multiple courses and we eat stuff, she'll eat the salad and I'm still eating the main course or the appetizer before, and I actually wait to the end for the salad. It helps a little bit of digestion so that I can get that dessert in. And we actually have changed the type of desserts we've been eating. We're not as much sweet, we're a little bit more of the fresher homemade type desserts. And Marie makes fresh ricotta and ricotta cake. So those are some of the nice things.
And I'm the same with Teresa. I just learned I love to cook anyway. Cooking is definitely my love language, as Esther has experienced at our house in Sicily. If there is anything I love to do more, it's cooking for friends and family and getting together. And when they taught me those basic ingredients, I'm sitting there going, seriously? In America, we just throw everything in without letting the flavors marry each other and get the full effect of the flavors. Like you were saying, Teresa, with the lemons, you would never think to put lemon in a savory dish, but it immediately changes the whole complement of the flavors. So I hate to make it all about food, but
it's Sicily, so it's not a.
Yeah.
Anne-Marie, you had me bring something back, which is farina di pistachio, which is translated to pistachio flour, but what it is actually is pistachio granules, fine. And what do you use that for? You said you couldn't find States.
You cannot, and it doesn't taste the same because the pistachios over in Sicilia are on the mountainside in Bronte. So the flavor is completely different from California pistachios. But I make the pasta with pistachio sauce, and it is, there's no words. I mean, it's Mike's favorite, the kid's favorite. It's just a creamy sauce. Again, very basic, not anything big time, not a lot of cheese. It's just the marry of the flavors. Although what I can't find over here is the panna. That's the drag.
Everyone watching, we're wondering when you're going to have us over for dinner.
That's right.
Right?
I will.
All right.
Now I'll use Esther's pasta with the pistachio.
All right, I want to just say hello to some of the viewers who are watching live with us. Good morning, everyone. Good to see you. A little bit of an update. I know some of you guys were asking about Mount Etna. Yes, Mount Etna is having a bit of an eruption, and there have been reports of tourists who were told not to go near the eruption and didn't heed the warnings. So some people were rescued. We did hear reports about that. I want to be very clear that the areas that those people went to were not allowed. The mayors of all the towns in the area issued a warning: do not go near active lava, and they dissipate. Now, Teresa and her crew went with a licensed guide. If you're going to go to some places that are, up higher on the mountain, make sure that you have a licensed guide for sure. I want to ask, Luigi says we immigrated from Sicily in 1971, so quite recently. And Luigi, where did you go? Curious where you went in the United States. Thank you for your service, Mike and Anne Marie, says Nick. Grazie mille. What are some of the adjustments that you've had to do in terms of, lifestyle?
Oh, you're asking us?
Coming back to America or going to Sicily?
Let's do both.
Driving. It's an adventure. Everything's a suggestion. Traffic circles, don't look at the other person. Don't look down at some of the potholes and other things. It's treacherous, but it is a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I still drive like that here in the US, so I haven't really transitioned much. So, but driving is an experience there, but it's also hard to drive because of the scenery that you pass, the floral that you have, the thick of the India that you see, and everything else. So you want to see those at the same time you're trying to drive, but you can't take your eyes off the road. You got to watch the little scooters running in and out, the mopeds, and everything else. So driving is an adjustment for me.
Okay.
Me too.
Yeah. I miss the slower pace of life. I felt like as soon as I came back to the States, the rat race began, and and it hasn't stopped. I don't feel like the stress level is as high in Sicily because they know what's important in life. I'm not quite sure us Americans will ever figure that out. We try, but it's hard when not the whole country wants to do the same thing. Whereas in Sicily, as small as that little island is, everyone is on the same page. Yeah, they're driving crazy, no doubt about it, but they're on a mission to get to their families. So that's the way they look at it. They're like, I'm on my way home.
Sunday for lunch, stay away from going to Grandma Nona's house.
Exactly.
Teresa and Bruce have traveled extensively. She has a map over there with all the places that she's visited in many, many continents. And Teresa, I want to ask you, from all your travels, what did you find that put Sicily apart from others?
Yeah. So the thing about, if you've never been to Sicily, think about the United States, which is ginormous, where we've got oceans, we've got mountains, we've got beautiful vineyards, we have great food, great farm life that grows wonderful food products. Sicily is this, basically, comparatively speaking, a teeny little island that also has volcanoes and mountains and the most beautiful ocean water you will ever see. The color blue is still just pierced, in my brain. And then great wine, great food, all on this tiny island. It's just all right there. That's what's amazing to me about it.
For me, that's exactly what I feel like. There's in that little island, there's a mountain, there's ocean, there's ruins, for Greek ruins, Roman
Yes,
ruins, there's
yes,
Arab influence, and you in all in that little island.
yes. In the island, the position of the island in that part of the world is so strategic
Mhm.
that, you know, civilizations for centuries have occupied it, and that they protect what they find. So one of the I can't remember the name of the place where we went, where they had discovered underneath the downtown the former city.
Catania.
Catania.
Yes. And it was, I mean, it's just America is so young. We're just a toddler, and
It's
and to
incredible.
see, and to see actually how advanced people were centuries ago,
Ahead
millennia.
of their time.
Oh my gosh, completely. Millennia. And if you look across history, people have wanted to conquer Sicily because it had so many things that were valuable on the island itself, but also strategically, it's a, militarily, it's a very valuable place, which is why people have wanted to go there. But in all of that, it's what you and Mike and Anne Marie that you talked about. What remains is that beautiful culture, that's all about family, right?
Yeah.
We
You
know it
did
as,
that perfectly.
yeah,
All of
family.
Alla
family.
famiglia.
Yeah.
We know it as the mafia from the media, but that's not what it's like there. It's just it's the
Mm-mm.
of family and love and having great food to bring people that you love together.
Mhm.
That's beautifully said. That encompasses Sicily for sure. I want to ask all three of you guys, for those people, and we have a lot of viewers who have been to Sicily, a lot of viewers who have family in Sicily, maybe going for the first time, and I want to hear for you guys watching who has been in Sicily and who is planning on going to Sicily. What advice do you have for first-time travelers to Sicily, Teresa?
Well, depending upon how much time you have, I would say don't try to do too much, right? So we flew into Catania and stayed on the eastern side of the island, and there was so much to see there. I mean, I think we were there for 9 days, and there was more we could have seen.
For
And
sure.
so it's I actually hate to travel where you're just zipping from here to there, because that's not why you travel. You travel to experience the beauty that's around you that's physical, but the beauty of the people and the culture that's been created. And you can't experience that if you're rushing to go see lots of new places.
Beautifully said. And also, one thing that we did, instead of going to one of the locations that I had on the list, you'd had an experience,
Berlinga.
and that was boating.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
talk about and we had vineyard too.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about not just touring, but taking part in an
Oh,
activity.
yes. So
And you guys also went for a hike on Etna.
we did.
So you had
yes.
many activities.
Yeah, that's a way that we like to travel, and we love water. And so one of the most incredible things we did is we rented a boat to take there were 17 of us, including you and Alfred, to take us out on this boat. And what, like, the first mate or the captain had a guitar and he's playing his music, and then we anchor and we're all swimming in the beautiful water. And it was a pretty big boat, right? And the ladder breaks. And so
Oh,
we
no.
couldn't, yeah, people could not get back on the boat because the ladder had broken. So, but we're all just out there paddling in the water,
we
having
went to
a
the
great
caves,
time.
right? We went to the caves with you guys.
Yes,
Blue Caves.
not that time. That the time we were stuck in the water, we
Oh,
were
no, I
just,
remember.
yeah, we
No,
were
we
just,
swam in the caves when we went to the boat, right?
yes.
Because with you guys, we went to see the other side, the falls.
Mhm.
But wait, the story.
Yeah, so anyway.
They went right at it and fixed the boat. And
It is,
fixed
but here's the thing, right? It would have been kind of an ordinary boat trip, but the ladder breaking
made
and
it
all of us,
extraordinary.
we all just were out there for like 45 minutes paddling in the water, having a great time, talking to each other, laughing, watching them trying to fix the ladder. So it's things like that. I mean, and that's like life. Stuff happens, but all there is to do is embrace what happens and make the best of it and create joy from it.
Brava.
But that's actually the people of Sicily are about that, right? I mean, who?
Mhm.
There's
Totally.
for sure.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Anne.
I would say if you're going to travel to Sicily, just like Teresa said, you kind of have to narrow it down because you're just going to have to come back. There's no way you can see all the beautiful things. And if you want to experience just life in general there, it's fun to set up tours or even like a cooking class or something like that, where you find out about their culture a little bit more. I mean, yes, Agrigento, Ortigia, Syracuse, all beautiful. And Cefalù, you could just go on and on, but it's fun when you get to be in their own environment. And like we learned how to make buffalo mozzarella in Sperlinga. You know, you're going up that twisty turning road. I'm gonna just lose it. But then you get to the top, and I'm not lying, the big pasta bowl was like this long, this wide, filled with goodness. I also will say that if you get caught in a situation, the Sicilians are very, very helpful. Mike's going to tell that story.
Yeah.
But I will say this much, even during COVID, though, sadness happened, but Sicily was self-sufficient. Like they didn't depend on anything, maybe the toilet paper, but they didn't depend on anything else. Everything is right there with the land. So no one was starving. No one was like treating it like the apocalypse, like we were here in the States. It was still, you had your stuff. All right.
And this,
Mike will tell you how helpful Sicilians are.
and this of people outside on their porch singing was a real scene because we experienced it in our complex, where we all came up with a time in a group chat and said, okay, at noon or 6 p.m., we're going to go outside and we're going to sing. And that unity of specialness definitely existed, and we could feel it. It was, you know, an extreme lockdown on our end, but as Anne-Marie, the Sicilians found joy, and I saw in other parts of Italy, they were going up out on the porch and singing as well.
Yeah,
so
definitely. Mike, do you want to say a little
I had
thing?
gone out wine tasting, which I did quite frequently, sometimes with Anne-Marie, sometimes without, with friends and all, and gone to a winery called Patria. And Patria, I had a little bit too much wine that day, probably not enough food. We had to go out to dinner that night. We had been invited to a friend of ours that at the time was dating someone from
You don't have to tell all that.
a winery in a small little town. So as we're driving to the location and got lost a little bit, we go down this little side street because that's what Waze told me to do. Well, the side street got narrower and narrower, and the car started going off. The same time we're doing this, we're FaceTiming our daughter, talking to her. And next thing I know,
Boom.
boom, I hit something. I'm like, what did I just hit?
It was a ballast.
So it was like a bollard for a Navy guy. It's like a bollard. It's a round thing. It used to be what they hitched the horses up to. It got stuck between the fender and the wheel. I couldn't go in reverse. I couldn't go forward. We couldn't move. We couldn't get out of the car.
We blocked
because the doors were blocked in and all.
And we blocked 3 different roads.
And this is during COVID. So during COVID, we're stuck in the car and we go out and we start talking. And a little old lady up on the balcony that you were just referring to wasn't singing at me. She was yelling at me, thinking I'm an American coming over with COVID and I'm infecting the whole town. So we call our friend, tell him what's going on. And next thing we know, the people start coming out. And a couple people spoke English. We take the jack out of the car. They helped me out.
Sicilians.
11 or 12 Sicilian men came up. We jacked the car up and pushed the car over and lifted the car up, put it over and moved. And then
So what's the advice here?
Instead of yelling COVID, she's going, brava, brava, brava,
brava.
But we couldn't have done it without those 12 men. And it was a hilarious story. I got pictures of it, but it was embarrassing. Then we went to dinner.
And
had a great time.
And then we went and ate and forgot all about it. Yep.
So what's the advice there?
Be
About
careful driving and
Well,
stay away from teeny tiny streets because
I would say-
invariably you will not be able to come back up it.
I would say that the story there is I'm looking at some of the people posting, and some of the people posting talking about family in different towns in Sicily. Go find them. We had people that would come over and they would actually, hey, I've got a family member that lives in Monreal. I don't know where it's at. I think it's up by Palermo sometimes. It's by the church house, or I'm down in Erice, or I'm in Marzamani, whatever, or Pechino. Great tomatoes, by the way. Go find that family. They'll figure out you're a relative and you just made a new attachment. You're in there for 10, 12 hours during the day, having a feast, and they're enjoying it. And you feel like, wow, I miss this part of my family, and you miss it. You really regret not taking advantage of that. So the couple people that are posting, if you haven't gone over there to meet your family, go find them. Go find them.
That's one of my favorite things to do, is take people to their ancestral home. Americans whose grandparents, great-grandparents came from a town in Sicily, and for people to walk on the streets that their grandparents walked on, to go to the church where they were probably baptized, and being the same air and roads and area where their grandparents is one of my biggest satisfactions. And people have become so overwhelmed with emotion, with the thought of that is a great advice, and something that we take very seriously to make sure. And it has happened where people will write me their grandparents' name and said, I don't know if I have any family, and we will go and find long lost cousins, uncles, and it has happened, and it is incredibly satisfying. I want to just comment on this. Constance says, my family comes from Taormina and Giardini Naxos. Lemons are everything. I even decorated my classroom in a lemon theme, and ode to my ancestors. I love that. I love that. That's beautiful. So we have a lot of people here who have family from, and just like Mike said, I strongly encourage you guys to go. My pop had the goat farmer come by and get fresh milk for the family. He detests milk, but he had it, right?
Milk's different.
So true.
It's part of my week is being in this chat. Grazie, Esther and Elf. We are so happy that I was telling Teresa, it was June of 2020 when we made the decision that every Sunday, no matter what, no matter where I am in the world, we are going to have a chat. And we so appreciate this community that we have coming with us Sundays. And I know some of you guys are going to be watching on the repeat, but we really, really appreciate being here, you guys being here. Peter says, great discussion. Any questions that you guys may have for Teresa, Mike, and Anne Marie? Will be here for a few more minutes, so let me know. Anything you want to say?
I want to ask Anne Marie and Mike a question, which is, having lived there, I'm sure part of your reason for returning to the United States is you have family here and your children are here. But if, in a perfect world, if you could pick up your family, would you live in Sicily or would you live in the United States?
Ooh, that's
Great
a
question.
one. I definitely think we would love Sicily. The hard part I have is I also have family in Denmark. So I would probably really be on their bad list if I just said Sicily. But I will say that's where we were the happiest. It, every place you live, and we've lived in a lot, being a military family, every place you live has a special significance, but I think Sicily will always be the best out of all of our assignments. And the girls will even say that, what was your favorite place we were stationed? Because they had to move a lot. And every time it's Sicily, every single time. And they always say the same things. It's about family. It's about not running the rat race. And I'm not going to lie, Teresa. I mean, yeah, it's great. You make money over here and it's hard for an American to work over in Sicily, but somehow you find a way to make it work, and it's fine. It's good. It's really, really good. I don't like all the volcanic dust, but that was never fun to clean up. I hate that part, but other than that.
We have hurricanes and wildfires. We got our own stuff here too.
Oh, trust. Yes. Trust on that one. Definitely.
A real good question. And Teresa, people often ask Alfred and I, like, what is it like being an expat living in Sicily? And we always say the number one thing that we miss is our family,
Of
Yeah.
course.
our
Yeah.
family, our
Yeah.
friends. Although we have a great group of
Mhm.
friends in Sicily that we love and they treat us like family and we feel like we're part of the family. There is something about the older friends that we made. You know, Teresa, you and I have been over 20 years.
Yep.
There's
Mhm.
history behind that. And, but certainly when I go back to Sicily, I feel at home.
Yes.
I
Oh, I
feel
know
at home.
you do.
I feel
I
at home.
know. Yeah.
It just vibes with me, you know?
Well,
Mhm.
having known you, you certainly didn't think you were going to be there more than a few weeks.
The goal
10
was
years
a few
later or
weeks.
something,
But
right?
10
I
years later,
know.
right?
I know.
It was going to be just a few
I know.
weeks.
Do you think your community knows
Oh.
your story?
Yes,
They do.
I
Okay,
think
all right,
so.
sorry.
Most people
Yeah.
do.
I'm just going to be there for 6 weeks and shoot a little video.
That's exactly it was supposed to
Yeah.
be. And here I
Then you
am.
fall in love and you create a
Mhm.
business. Yeah.
Very true.
And then we are almost over 400 videos all about Sicily.
Yeah.
Uh, Tony says, I agree. It was emotional for me to walk around in the Catania area where my dad used to take me and my sister when we were little.
Yeah.
There is a park. There is the park and bench.
Beach. Yeah.
Hope, Tony, that you were going to be coming back. Let me see. Susan, I just received in the mail a violation in the highway code. I'm guessing pedestrian traffic area. Yep. From October. Are these always true, or is it nope, or is it a scam from the police? Nope.
Nope.
No,
That's a big issue in Sicily. There will be times that historic areas will be a no car pedestrian only zone, and you sort of have to know how to read the signs. And so, yeah, Palermo 2023 says Susan. Yep, that was
Yeah.
definitely not a scam for
Yeah.
sure.
I'm guessing. So that's another trip to Italy where we had rental cars.
Yep.
You didn't
Rental car.
didn't discover until a month later you got billed on your credit card from the rental car company all the tickets you got that you didn't know you got while you were driving in Italy.
Exactly.
It's not the same thing, right? Yeah.
Vince wants to know where everyone is from in this chat. A lot of people already commented about this. Susan said, I do not believe I drove in these areas, but you know what? They have different rules in different parts of the city. So
So they're not going to
knows?
come arrest you.
That's right.
No.
Yeah.
But you don't pay it when you go back to rent a car, it will be on your record. So just be aware of that. But Susan, send me a note, send me an email. I think you have my email about that, and I'll pass it along to Al because he handles stuff like that. We've had people,
I'm sure.
a lot of
How
people.
convenient that Al's a lawyer.
How convenient, right?
Mhm.
All right, we have a few more minutes. Teresa, final words.
I want to now go back, and I'm sitting here thinking, like what are we waiting for? I think I have this dream of going and spending like 3 months there, right? And then, which is a way different experience than just going for a trip, and then do things as they come up in it, or you organically experience the island versus having everything planned out.
And putting yourself in a little town where you can go to the market every day,
Yeah.
you go to the coffee place and have coffee and interact with the locals,
Right.
right? And go,
My Italian is Zippo.
that's okay. My first year, my Italian was Zippo, and I'll never forget my first video was with a woman, Mama Sicily, who spoke Zippo English, and we made magic happen.
Mhm.
You just interacted. You just,
Yeah.
you know, and where there's a will,
I can talk
there's a
with my
way.
hands.
That's all.
Exactly.
That's all.
Sign language.
Right? You can do it, right? So final words, you guys.
Wow. It's really hard to put it in small words. I'm going to agree with you about definitely experiencing a small town. We lived in Nicolosi, which is right there before the volcano the first time. And the second time we lived in Mescalachia. So I would say stay away from the American hotels. Don't worry about anything fancy. Stay at an agriturismo if you want to, because then you can experience the family and also what they do on their land. Wow, I can't even pinpoint a town because I loved them all. Every place we went was an experience. Small, big town, doesn't matter. Always a wonderful experience, even getting stuck. You should tell them about the vineyards. How the first time we were there were how many?
The vineyards have exploded. We were there when I was in active duty,
2002
to 2005. There was about 12 vineyards up on Mount Etna. When we came back in 2018, there was 240. Luckily, I've been able to find various apps that I can still order my wine. And luckily, being a military and then a civilian GS employee, I was eligible to ship wine back as a collection. So those things are nice. But Anne got me on the vino thing. Truthfully, no matter where you go to, whatever town you're in, there's history. You go to Syracuse, you see Archimedes' statue, you see the tunnels, you see the grave that supposedly Plato or someone was in and all. You go to Agrigento, you go and see the big
Valley of the Temples.
Valley of the Temples and the big temples. I got told, I don't know if this is factual or not, someone can check Wikipedia, that'll tell you, that there's more Greek and Roman statues
Yes, that is true.
than there is
in
in Greece
Greece.
itself. So no matter what little town you go to, what site you go to, whether it be Catania with the hidden city, there is history and there's architecture you just salivate looking at the buildings, the structure, and then going to find the history behind that town. Every town has a story. The one that we went to,
An open air museum.
Right.
Yes. And how
And
about
you-
this? Seeing Andrea Bocelli in the Taormina Amphitheater.
Wow.
Okay, you're
There
killing
are
me.
no words. There are no words. It was amazing. But it also, it's the same thing, like Esther and Teresa, you guys keep saying, it's about the views, it's about the people. I mean, you could go down the Amalfi Coast, yes, you see all kinds of views. But in Sicily, you have an island. You can go all around the island and there's always beautiful views, just breathtaking. And where else are you going to put one foot in the Ionian Sea and one foot in the Mediterranean Sea down to Marzamemi? Nowhere. So Sicily rocks.
I want to Sicily rocks. I love that. Nonna's World, who Ellen and her husband came on a tour with us, and she says, I don't have any relative connections to Sicily, but when I was there, I never felt like a stranger. People are very welcoming if you let them in. Brava.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Viva Sicilia. I want to thank you guys for taking the time and being here with us. And buona domenica, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
And I'll see you guys later. And thank you to my dear, dear, dear friend. And now she said it on camera. She's coming back.
Yes.
There you
Yeah.
go.
All right, guys.
All right.
Ciao.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci.
Ciao.
Ci vediamo.
Ci vediamo.
Show off.